It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. This is the B block, the Bravo block, or the Brad block as we call it. Today's date is the 23rd of January. It's a Friday, John. And what do we do in the Bravo block?
From a door ding to a wreck, they'll see it through.
That's not it. We do this.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
And we do this one right off the bat.
It's number 3.
This is sort of a bizarre story. I read this the other day, and I decided I would talk about it today. Barron Trump saves the life of a woman in England. Have you heard this story yet?
I saw it, and I couldn't believe that it was true, but apparently it's legitimate, right?
Yes. The story is that Barron Trump, who is the, 18, 19-year-old son of Donald Trump, who's like 6'9", he's like a monster, has a girlfriend, or at least they don't say it's a girlfriend, but has a close female friend who lives in England. And apparently she was dating a Russian dude who was not a nice guy. And one night he came over and he's already abused her and supposedly has, I guess I can't say the R word. I have to say graped. Is that what I have to say, graped?
Yeah, I think you could say grape, but you can't say the R word.
Okay, because we'll get cut out by, is it YouTube that cuts us out? Is that what it is?
YouTube doesn't like anything that doesn't have the G in it.
Okay, so she got graped, minus the G, by this dude. So he came over to her place the other night, or I think this happened a couple weeks back, and started to physically abuse her. And she grabs her phone and essentially does a FaceTime to Barron. And it's only a short call, but he sees her crying and being abused, and she sees the phone bounce around the room, and then the connection goes blank. So somehow or another, he gets to, and this is interesting, in England, it's 999. In the United States, it's 911, but in England, it's 999. He somehow contacts the emergency dispatch in whatever city this is, and they dispatch a couple of, I guess they're bobbies over there, police officers, and the bobbies show up at her apartment, and they grab the guy, and they take him, and they throw him in jail. And she claims that he told her that the Russian dude, her boyfriend, I guess hopefully at this point in time, an ex-boyfriend, was there to kill her, and that Barron Trump saved her life. And what's interesting about it is this has gone to court already, and they have the transcriptions of the calls, of the 999 calls over there, where Barron Trump is talking to the dispatcher. It's bizarre. I mean, is this like one of these stories you read? Okay, is this like fake, or is this? It's supposedly 100% true story that she claims that Barron Trump saved her life. And the interesting thing about it is the English authorities agree with her, and because of the fact that from the listening to the 999 transaction between Barron Trump and the dispatcher in England, they say yes, it was him that made the call. Now, some people say, well, why didn't she dial 999? I don't know. Maybe it was to the point where she had her phone. You know, sometimes you have the last screen that's up and you just hit the button and it does whatever it do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the pop.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Or maybe she also knew that the risk of her calling 999 and having this attempted rapist see her calling 999 would be worse than her just hitting that FaceTime button.
Could be true, but I think it's an interesting story. Don't you think, John?
I do think, and I think that, 30 years ago, what would she have been able to do? You think she could have gotten to an old-timey landline or a cordless phone and hit 999? Probably not.
I don't know.
So in the modern era, isn't that another great reason to keep a phone around?
Well, the only thing about that is, think about it, like when I was police dispatcher a long time ago, there was no 911. I mean, if people, and that was one of the problems, if people saw an accident on the highway, you had to get off the highway. In Illinois, they had the call boxes, which were like every half mile or something like that. I don't know if you remember that or not. But you had to get off the highway and you had to find a payphone and call, and you had to know. As a matter of fact, a lot of the payphones, if you remember this is old-timey stuff. You're not old enough to remember this, John, but a lot of times the payphone actually had stickers on it wherever the municipality was that gave you the numbers for the various emergency services. I still remember.
I do remember that. And that's how, when I first met you, I knew I recognized your face. And I'm like, that's Mr. Yuck.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. You ready for number 2, Mr. Yuck?
I am.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
Yes.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
Okay, John, I'm going to sound like a homer for Donald Trump, but I have to tell you, this guy thinks out of the box, okay?
What's the latest?
He said yesterday, okay, first off, are you familiar with, we are a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which, by the way, in the old days of McDonnell Douglas, do you know that he used to get NATO Day off? Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's a good anecdote. That's pretty creative.
Because one of the people that worked for me for the time, her boyfriend worked at McDonald's, and they had NATO Day off. Okay.
And so, I know where you're going. Trump started a brand new answer to NATO. Go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Once again, I find this guy fascinating. There's what's called Article 5 in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and Article 5 essentially states that any member of NATO that gets attacked, the other members of NATO shall defend them. So in other words, if for some crazy reason France would get attacked by Germany, or no, when NATO, Germany's a NATO member, if France would be, or let's take Germany because it borders on Russia. If Germany would be attacked by Russia, then all the other NATO members, including the United States, would respond and defend Germany. Okay? Trump has floated the idea that what we should have done with the border crisis, we should have declared an Article 5 emergency and had all the NATO countries come over to our southern border and repel the invasion. I heard this and I thought to myself, okay, hold on a minute. That's a stretch.
That's one way to look at NATO. That's one way to look at the right way to handle NATO, right?
But isn't that a genius idea?
I think so. It is an invasion.
Right. And you think, hold on a minute now, because then what would all the people, like what's going on in Minnesota, they'd all be going, oh, hold on a minute now. How come we have German troops and Danish troops and French troops and Spanish troops and all these NATO? How come they're all coming across the Atlantic and they're coming over to line up on the border to keep the immigrants out? See, and people would go like, is this legal? And Trump would say, hey, we're a member of NATO and it's Article 5. I've invoked it. I'm thinking to myself, it's genius. That's what maybe she'd be doing in Minneapolis, but the Somalis
I think so. We would have to import a whole lot more Kansas City lesbians to fight back those set of troops.
I don't believe you sometimes.
Is there enough flannel in the state of Minnesota to handle the influx of Kansas City lesbians?
John, can I say something that I shouldn't say?
The Mohawk Company could probably support a bunch of carpet, if you know what I mean, but I don't know about flannel.
John, I was behind a Subaru. I swear I saw this the other day. And supposedly this has gotten to be a popular bumper sticker for some Subaru drivers. There's an idea that most lesbians drive Subarus. Did you know that crazy story?
Oh, is there, Brad? Who would float that sort of idea? Go ahead.
I was behind a Subaru the other day on 270. I swear to God I saw this. And I thought to myself, she's going sort of slow, and I passed her. But I thought to myself, I purposely passed her because I thought to myself, I have to take a look to see if this is a woman driving the car. The bumper sticker on the car said, I'm not a lesbian. That's what it said.
That's terrific.
Okay, you ready for number one?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
Okay, John. Today's number one is an audio number one, okay? And
I can't wait.
And after I play it, I'm going to ask you for your input on this because I have my view on this. So we will start, and it's a minute 32. So give me a minute 32 if you're listening, okay?
You got it.
Here we go.
Here are 3 things Missouri Republicans don't want you to know about their tax plan. Number 1, this eliminates the voter-approved measure from about 10 years ago that told the legislature that we could not impose a sales tax on services. This would allow the legislature to come back and impose a tax on any good or service in the state of Missouri. This means you're going to start getting taxed on services like childcare and car repairs and healthcare services. So the next time you go to the doctor, you're going to pay a sales tax on that. Once again, this just proves that Missouri Republicans do not care what the voters want. Number 2, if you think about where most of the economic activity happens in our state, it's on the border in Kansas City and St. Louis. And Kansas just repealed their sales tax on groceries. So what's stopping Kansas City residents from going across the border and buying their groceries in Kansas rather than Missouri? If sales taxes rise in Missouri, people are going to take their purchases elsewhere. Number 3, think about how this will impact vulnerable people. Senior citizens, for example, they don't currently have an income tax burden on their Social Security income. But if sales taxes rise dramatically, how is that going to affect their monthly budgets? There's a big conversation right now about property taxes pricing seniors out of their homes. But if we raise sales taxes on our seniors, we're going to be pricing them right out of our state. This is why there is so much concern over Governor Mike Kehoe's plan. Now, a lot of folks are calling him Tax Hike Mike, and I'm not quite sure where that came from. Tax Hike Mike, Tax Hike Mike, Tax Hike Mike, Tax Hike Mike, Tax Hike Mike. But if this plan goes into effect, it won't just be a nickname. It will be real, and that will be his legacy.
John, who was that?
That was House Super Minority Leader Ashley Aune.
Okay, your opinion of what she said?
Oh, I think it's so first of all, I think it's succinct. I think to be able to condense the Democratic message down to 90 seconds, that clearly is a testament to the fact that Ashley Aune by trade is a marketer. So I think it's a really effective message. And I think it's the type thing where if you're Kehoe's team and your legislative leaders that are Republicans, you need to go piece by that with your team behind closed doors and say, how do we rebut this? What part of what Ashley is saying is actually true? And how can we counter message this? And I think it's fair to say that Representative Aune jumps to conclusions. So the idea of every time you go to a doctor, you'll be taxed more, or old people that are seeing the cost of living increase, they're going to be hit hardest by this. I think she's jumping to conclusions. But since when do politicians not engage in fear mongering? I think it's really effective of Ashley Aune. And to be honest, Brad, if you're a Republican state rep behind closed doors and you're talking to Kehoe's team, you're asking these very same questions. How do we handle a decrease in revenue being brought in and not stick it to taxpayers with higher sales tax?
Right. Essentially, you're just moving things around. I mean, that's what's sort of frustrating to me. Now, first off, that's a video, and the video is well done. That's just the audio track I pulled from the video. And boy, by the way, she's good. I mean, she's got great presence on camera. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's never been a question.
Right. And she's. Where do you think she's heading? You think she's going to go for like statewide office or something like that? Maybe go for Congress or something, U.S. Congress?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's a path. If you're a Democrat, and let's just take a 60-second diversion here, Brad. There's not a lot of Ashley Aunes in the state legislature. So you have, on our side of the state, you have a woman, we'll use as an example, a woman named Jaclyn Zimmerman, a state rep from the St. Louis area. Both Jaclyn and Ashley are accomplished people in the private sector. They're creative people. They're smart people. You don't attract a lot of Democrats like Jaclyn and Ashley to run for the state house and tell them, hey, you get to be in the super minority, pardon me, and be away from your family for 5 months and not pass any bills and not get anything done. So you don't attract people in general, pardon me again, of the quality of Ashley and Jaclyn. And by the way, this is said as a man who came of age during the 1990s when Republicans didn't matter in the state legislature. So let's get back to Ashley here. I don't think Ashley's going to run for statewide office. First of all, because no Democrat for the foreseeable future will win a statewide election in the state of Missouri. I think Ashley saw her friend Crystal Quaid, an incredibly competent woman and a qualified woman, get decimated and waste her time in a statewide race. Ashley's too smart for that. She's not going to run for statewide office.
Well, John, I happen to agree with what she's saying, and I do think that the Republicans are just like it's like bait and switch. We're going to take.
You're saying that it's robbing proverbial Peter to pay Paul.
Yes, and the whole deal should be, as we talk about like our former president Joe Biden. Remember, he always talked about we sit around the kitchen table. Okay, if all of a sudden you have a household where, let's say, the husband and the wife are both working, and let's say the husband loses his job, they don't all of a sudden start saying, well, maybe you can get another job, or maybe they can. But the idea being is they tighten their belt. They said, okay, we've got this subscription to Disney Plus, that's gone. We, go to...
We're a member of the Westplex Chamber of Commerce. We're going to cut that money out.
No, that's free. It used to be. It's $99 now. But the idea being is that the Republicans, and this is what drives me nuts about the Republicans, okay? I will never forget. And John goes, here he goes, Deedham Tots again.
Brad, what happened when Richard West spoke at a council meeting 300 years ago? What did he say about the number of the budget?
The budget doubled over 7 years, okay?
Get out of here, Brad. I hadn't heard that from you this week already.
Under Republican control. And the Republicans...
and we're over time. I know people have heard you say this ad nauseum, Brad. Here's what they haven't heard. The correct answer to all of this that an Ashley Aune would agree with and a right-wing Republican would agree with is if we're going to shift tax revenue around, the only way you manage that is by slashing services. Now, as a right-wing libertarian type of guy, I say take an axe to the damn thing. I say don't bring Surgeon John Patterson in. I say bring somebody in with an axe. And even Ashley Aune, especially Ashley Aune would say, if we're going to eliminate the state's income tax and we're not going to raise a whole bunch of other sales taxes, that will mean a critical loss of services to the state of Missouri. And that's the option, Brad. So I don't disagree with you on this. I don't disagree with Ashley Aune on this. I just say, hey, we're either going to have to raise a bunch of sales taxes or we certainly need to start slashing spending.
But one of the things that bothers me about this is in many different times during this whole thing, and after Kehoe gave his speech and the whole bit, well, we're going to be like Tennessee. Okay, here's my problem. We're the show me state. Why don't we say, and the idea behind that is, hey, you got to show me. In other words, our state animal is the mule. We're stubborn buttheads. That's what we are. Ooh, we're not going to do that till we see 20 other states do it. How many times have you heard in the Missouri legislature, 42 states are doing this now. 36 states are doing this now.
That's true. We do hear that a lot. That's true.
The whole goofy thing is, why can't we be the people leading the charge? Why can't we have creative lawmakers come up with the thing that the other states want to follow? Why do we have to follow all the other stupid states? And because Tennessee's doing it, and did your mom ever say to you, John, if little Billy told you to jump off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Once again, it's that crazy thing. It's like, why do we have to follow? Why can't Missouri lead? Why can't we lead? That's my problem.
Well, the answer, Brad, in practical terms, and I hate to nitpick here. I hate to be a Brad Hildebrand here. But the answer is you can look at other states and look at best practices. And in fact, Ashley Aune has pointed to what happened in the state of Kansas under Sam Brownback and said, look at what Kansas did when they began their tax cut experiment. So she's going on ad nauseum about that. To your point, let's get back to the main soundbite that you played, Brad. This is a succinct argument by Ashley Aune that is largely based in fact. And the one piece that I don't think we've acknowledged here as we wrap up the segment, the one piece that we haven't acknowledged is I think members of Kehoe's team would say, if you cut taxes and you eliminate income tax, you can do it in a way that you're not slashing services and you're actually stimulating the economy. Now, some folks, and I would put myself in this category, are a little bit skeptical of that. And I lean toward cutting government services rather than just hoping that we get economic activity. I may be unfair to the Kehoe plan there. I don't know. Ashley Aune is a good communicator. She's not typical of Democrats in the Missouri legislature, which are largely gladhanders, people that met Kamala Harris once and posed for a butt-out, lean-in picture and claim that they're friends with Kamala, or they're knuckle draggers, or in the case of South County Hoosiers, they're beard pullers. Ashley Aune is an exception in the Missouri legislature.
John, can I ask you one favor?
Yeah. Do you want to hang out with Nina Needlebaum tonight? No, I don't.
No. When you do your what do you call it? Your social
Summary.
media. So your social media posts. Will you give the B block a little love today?
I'll consider it. Yeah, I'll consider it. Brad, you've been on good behavior lately, and I'll consider it. Yeah.
John only promotes his A block. He never promotes the B block, and I feel somewhat abused like that. Maybe I should call Barron Trump and he'd call 911 and have the police come up and get John because he's abusing me, right?